Welcome to the Road to Richmond. In September of 2015, Richmond, Virginia will host the UCI Road World Championships, an event that hasn't been in the U.S. since 1986 when it was in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Over the course of 9 days, we'll see 12 World Championship races contested by more than 1,000 world-class cyclists from 75 different countries. Today we're in the amazingly picturesque town of Busche, Italy, to talk to the U.S. men's team just days before their World Championship race here in Tuscany. Let's get to it. Guys, thanks for joining us this afternoon. So much of what we're trying to do is introduce cycling to people, get people on bikes for recreation, for transportation, and want to talk to you a little bit about some of your early memories on a bike. How you got from that point to where you are today at the top of your game. So for starters, tell me kind of the first memory you have on a bike, and not racing, but you on bike with perhaps 4 wheels, maybe 2. Where does this story start for you guys? Chris?
My brother pushed me down the hill. By the time I got to the bottom, you got to learn how to ride the bike or you're going to crash.
Yeah, Pete.
I crashed. We had one of the little kid seats on the back of the bike, and my dad was riding me around, and he went to the mailbox, and instead of ever leaning his bike up against something, he just kind of let it go as he went to the mailbox, and it tipped over. So I didn't ride my bike for years after that. I hated my bike as a kid.
Still.
Well, I guess my first memory of riding a bike was just the first time I rode a bike in Boulder. Just my dad teaching me. I'd like to say that I was 2 years old, but I was probably 8.
Recently
Split the difference.
potty trained 12 years
ago. Tejay.
Yeah, I did a little BMX when I was in elementary school. That was kind of when I first started.
Cool. Alex.
I think my first bicycle memory ended in trash cans. Hitting trash cans. The old metal kind.
How old were you?
I don't know. Old enough to remember.
There.
Didn't hit my head.
That's good.
Probably.
Yeah.
These are all painful memories.
It sounds like it. Well,
Scarred you.
We're trying to get the public into riding bikes.
yeah.
Maybe we should do this again with some smiling stories.
We'll get there. Andrew.
Didn't end in tragedy. It was more just learning to ride a bike, and that's how I got around where I grew up as a kid. So, but never thought of it as a sport or anything like that. It was just how I got to my friends' houses.
Yeah.
Great.
I think I remember I had and it's still in the top of my parents' shed outside, a yellow BMX bike. I remember skidding around on that with the old pedal brakes, but I remember real distinctly I watched somebody on TV or something brake with their front feet on the front wheel, or their wheel on the front wheel, and I tried it and I put my feet behind the fork. I went over the handlebars and took my chin off. So
Tragedy.
Another tragedy. All right. Well, hopefully we'll move on to more better time. So fast forward to your first race. How old were you, and what do you remember about that first experience of entering a bike race? Chris.
Experience. First criterium I did as just a young kid, racing in SoCal, and showed up at the criterium. I remember doing it with my stepdad showing up. Got dropped at the finish. Stepdad asked me what happened. So that was probably his first and his last bike race he showed up at. And after that, I just kept racing and kept showing up at different events.
Was that before or after the Great Depression?
All right, Pete.
That was before the internet. You were after.
Steve Jobs.
My first race was a short track mountain bike race around the CU Research Park, and we were in the juniors category. And on the last lap, I got ahead of her, the first place girl, and then I dumped it in one of the last corners, and she passed me again. So since that first race, I haven't been girled in another race. I'm proud of that.
Good.
T's included.
Taylor.
I just did my first race in Boulder, Stasio Criterium. It was a junior race. I won. There were like 4 other people in the race though, so I was guaranteed top 5 no matter what. But yeah, it's always nice to say you won your first race. Nobody has to know the details though, necessarily.
Sure.
I raced in an old 7-Eleven wool jersey actually. I think I did it more for style purposes really. I wasn't like, oh, this is the only thing I have. It was just kind of like, well, why not?
Cool.
Do it.
TJ.
Did a couple mountain bike races when I was like 9 or something. In Bozeman, Montana. Just decided to race.
Yeah. Alex, what do you remember about your first race?
I think I had like a little mountain lion mountain bike. It's probably like 8 or something like that. I think I pumped the tires up to like 120. It was as hard as they would go. Just a good race. I don't know, I got beat. So it's probably in the corners.
Andrew.
First race I did was a junior race in Florida. And went there in a van with like 4 30-year-old Cuban guys who were friends of my mom's boyfriend. I was 17 and we were just driving through the night and I was like, one of them was just blasting the stereo like this, you know, the steering wheel. And I was kind of wondering like what I was doing there. And then I raced the next day and I won the junior race. And then I just kept going from there. It was finally the first sport I found that I was good at. So that was nice.
Yeah.
I was late to the show. 2005 was my first race. I remember that it was in Iowa City, Iowa, and I won that one. I won both races that weekend actually, and that was how it all started.
Yeah. So, kind of follow on to that. That first race, did it kind of spark from there and you knew that that's what you wanted to do, or did that take a little while?
I was still pretty convinced I was a runner at that point.
Yeah.
But I sort of developed a passion for the bike at that point too. So it was exciting for me. It was fun, and that's probably what got me hooked.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that I still continued to run. So, but then I came back to the bike.
Yeah.
So.
But Andrew, what about you? That first experience, was that?
Yeah, it was the same thing. You know, there was Saturday, Sunday of racing, and I won both of the junior races and did the Cat 5 races, and it was a different experience. I ran in high school and got hurt, and that's why I started riding a bike. And I really loved running, and I worked hard at it, but it never seemed to pay off at all. And in cycling, you know, it was different than any other sport I had done. And yeah, after that weekend, I mean, I wasn't thinking, I'm going to go race the Tour de France, but it was definitely something I knew I was good at and wanted to continue with after that weekend.
Yeah. Taylor, what about you?
Well, yeah, I mean, you get sort of the taste of victory and putting your hands up in the air, and there's not really much else like it. I just...
Taste of blood, I'm not gonna tiger on wheels over here.
I just moved up to races that had more than 5 people in there, and kept winning those. I got to go to Cat 4 races and beat up on, older guys, which I thought was fun. Won a bunch of Cat 3 races until they kicked me out. And I was kind of a school guy in like 6th grade. When I got into middle school, I was pretty antisocial. I was really into school. But then I moved to Italy and I had to develop a personality. And then when I developed the personality, then I lost more interest in school, and then I started winning bike races. And then basically decided that's what I was going to do, and I wasn't going to go to school.
Yeah.
But that, stay in school.
Good sales pitch.
If you want to.
Yeah. How about you, Chris?
I don't know, for me, I was riding bikes all around San Diego and stuff, so even before I raced, I knew I liked riding the bike, and so The first race for me wasn't such a big impression so much as it was just, I don't know, doing it for the first time or something was kind of cool, but I always knew I liked riding the bike, and I just didn't realize at the time that you could actually race every weekend and stuff. That was probably the big turning point for me. Is like, oh, you can do this every weekend. And of course, like everyone else, you don't ever think about getting paid or a job to do it, and then eventually it just kind of, you start realizing that, oh, you get paid to do this too. It's kind of cool.
Sure. Yeah. So we spend a lot of time out talking to cycling groups in our region about bike safety and advocacy and all that kind of great stuff. And the conversation always seems to come back to how cyclists are respected on the roads. You guys obviously do a lot of riding here in Europe and training here and back in the States. How are cyclists respected on the roads here? How do you find that different between here and then the States? Pete?
I think it's just seen as more of a lifestyle here. I mean, you see grandmas riding their city bikes to the grocery store and stuff, and it was more of a normal form of transportation, whereas the States, they're so big, it was kind of first made for the automobile, and then bikes were an afterthought. And so it's coming along though, and the sport's gained so much notoriety that it's changing, and I think it's becoming more mainstream now, and as a health conscious alternative.
Yeah. What do you think cyclists back in the States can do to earn more respect on the road and to help their cause?
Well, it just goes both ways though, doesn't it? Like, somebody screams at you, you don't have to scream back, Even sometimes, like, of course, we do that sometimes, but you try to, like, just, wave or give a thumbs up, because, they have the bigger vehicle in the end of the day.
That's true.
And they're in charge of the weapon, so, just you sort of give respect to get respect, the way I see it.
Yeah. So you mentioned waving, because you're out riding, somebody's coming the other way on a bike. You always wave at them?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like, like, hey friend, but just a little nod,
Sure.
There are, the Italians are very, they love to, say hi and stuff.
They say ciao here.
They say ciao a lot.
Yeah.
And that's something when I go back to Boulder, there's a lot of guys who kind of take biking so seriously that they don't think they can wave to anybody else, and I'm out there like, flashing peace signs to everybody. And then when it's not a turn, I'm kind of like, hey man, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Always wave back.
Good. How about everybody else? Do you wave? Andrew?
Yeah, it's what Taylor said. It's not an extravagant ordeal. You just kind of acknowledge that you're out there. You're on some country road. You're the only two people you've seen, crossing paths for the last hour. It's kind of awkward. Well, like, they obviously see you, so if they don't wave, they just, I don't know. They should take up another sport.
Yeah.
You kind of bonded by your riding.
We're a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And we welcome women as well.
The brotherhood and sisterhood.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing an interval. I don't wait during an interval. It's business time.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, yes, be friendly.
Makes sense. All right. So the race tomorrow. I think most of you have seen the course at this point. Tejay, what are your thoughts on the course and thoughts on the race?
It's a hard course. And the long climb isn't that steep, and the steep climb's not that long, so it's kind of, I don't know, I think there's more people that have the chance to win than maybe what people think. It's not going to be a pure climber. I think a strong man can make it over.
Yeah.
But, I think we got a good team here and a lot of cards to play.
Yeah. What about the weather? Looks like a pretty good chance of rain tomorrow. How much will that play into the race? Andrew?
I think that'll play in a lot. I mean, at this point in the season, people are tired and there's varying levels of motivation. The rain nobody really enjoys racing in the rain. Some people are just better at it than others, and that'll a lot of it's mental and how much you want to deal with those conditions. And I think all of us here are pretty motivated to do something great tomorrow, and we'll be fine if it rains. But
Yeah.
I don't know for the other countries.
Yeah. Alex?
It would be great if it rains.
Good.
7 hours in the rain, yo.
Remember that.
So racing for your country as opposed to your trade team, putting the stars and stripes on for the race. What's that feel like? What's that mean to you guys, Chris?
It's always special when you're racing for your nation. So something special because you know fans back home watching and always cheering for you and stuff. Cycling is a little bit different than football, baseball, and stuff where you just have your team. But in cycling, it's more about all year long. It's more about your favorite rider or something. When you're watching the Tour de France or something like that, one of the Grand Tours. But when you get to the Worlds, it's about your nation and stuff. So then they're forced to like you.
Yeah. What do you think, Taylor?
But I love it. I love the stars and stripes, red, white, and blue. It's a nice change from my black and red, just uniform-wise. But yeah, no, it's a huge honor. I mean, we've all come up, well, most of us have come up through the development program, through the national team, and riding already, in races over in Belgium as a junior with stars and stripes on, and it's interesting to see the evolution of respect that you get as from being a little American junior to now professional American, and we definitely we're a hitter country now these days, and it's quite cool to be a part of that.
Yeah. Matthew?
It's nice to be able to represent your country, and I was lucky enough to do it when I was a national champ, so that was extra special, and it's always fun to just represent the USA and race for your country.
Yeah. So final question, kind of an extension from that. Obviously, you guys spend a lot of time racing here in Europe. Over the last few years, there's been more and more big races in the U.S. So more opportunity to race in the U.S. But what does having the Worlds in America mean to you guys? Where does that? And Chris, we're going to see you in 2015.
Yeah, you see me in 2015 for sure. I think, we're not
For sure.
barring an injury or something like that. No, I still enjoy racing the bike. But it's getting fans are going to be cheering for us. It's going to be one of the first times you do the World Championships where you really have the majority of the fans there cheering for you. So we should have a strong squad and a lot of good riders and another chance to win at Worlds. So, but also, it's going to be everyone else has to fly to our home finally, so that's going to make a big difference too. It's a big change when you're at home versus far away. So I think it should be good for us.
Home field advantage. Tejay?
Yeah, the home field advantage is key. I mean, in all these big races that all the European guys come over for, home field advantage is key. I mean, in all these big races that all the European guys come over for, California, Colorado, all these, Utah, you always see the Americans just stack the top 10, and big name European guys are kind of pushed down a little bit because the motivation's that much higher, and we just come at a higher level and with more confidence and more motivation.
Good deal. Alex, any thoughts on that?
It'll be a special event for sure. Even if I don't make the squad, which I intend to do, I'll come watch. Because it's in America.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's really nothing more on this planet that I love more than America. So.
Perfect. Well,
the fact that Virginia's in America is it helps it.
Excellent. Well, that's a great place to wrap this up, I think. Thanks again for all your time, guys. Best of luck tomorrow in the race, and we'll see you in a couple years in Virginia. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Big thanks to the U.S. men's team for joining us tonight and for USA Cycling for making this possible. If you missed the episode with the U.S. women's team, you can check it out at richmond2015.com. Just click on the Road to Richmond banner. Keep up with all things Richmond 2015 through our website. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. See you next time on the Road to Richmond. Arrivederci.